Good evening. Welcome to the Planning Board meeting of February 10th, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. in the Carver Town Hall Meeting Room 1. These proceedings will be videotaped and rebroadcasted by Area 58 TV. If we could all please stand for the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hello everyone. The first item on our agenda this evening is we are going to have further discussion pertaining to a conceptual 40R project located in North Carver. I will welcome here this evening Mr. Art Borden.
Is this an application?
No, he's just making a presentation for us to kind of continue with the other discussions that we had previously and to show us conceptually what they're looking at.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you, Art.
Thank you, sir. Mary Ellen, do you have an extra pen?
Yes.
Good evening, my name's Art Borden, and along beside of me is Constantine Bakanis, the owner of the property. A few weeks ago, there was a presentation from Alan Germain about the possibility of doing a 40R development at Constant's property. Alan had approached me wanting to know if I knew who the owner of the property was, and by the way, you doing any work for him? I've worked with Costa now for about 6 years now on this property. All kinds of brainstorming to come up with what we might be able to do here. And in the process was last year when you were talking about 3A sites, Costa made a presentation to you that perhaps this site might comply, and was basically told no.
He did.
Yep. So what we've done, Alan approached me if to find out maybe if Costa was interested in a 40R, which would bring benefits to the town more than the 3A zoning would. And I said, I'll run it by him, see what he thinks. And sure enough, we've now developed a conceptual plan. It's not anything cast in stone. It's not fully engineered. It's just conceptual to see what we can do building-wise and space-wise. We had a video meeting on Friday. Valerie set it up for us with Judy Barrett and her team. Costa had some of his people and myself. It was a very productive meeting. We have forwarded all of our information along to Judy, and she advised that she would run the compliance models for the 3A as well as the 40R. And the hope is that the 40R would provide the housing that 3A is looking for to get us into compliance without actually accepting the act for the future. That's kind of where we are. We've got four buildings that would be housing, and the L-shaped building down front would be the retail commercial portion of the project. We modeled that one after the Cornerstones Plaza. That's one of the more successful plazas in town and lends itself to retail and commercial use. We've got the first two buildings, the property grades up. The first two buildings, we're anticipating we might be able to do some parking under the building to bump up the parking calculations. This particular plan has parking that would support 240 units of housing. And as we've done in the past, other sites, there would be a breakdown that 50% of the units would be one bedroom, 40% would be two bedrooms, and the balance would be three bedrooms. So, and that's something you don't get with the 3A. There's no cap on the number of bedrooms per unit. This way, we'd have somewhat of a cap, and we want to jump in?
So, yeah, the number of bedrooms will determine how much your school facilities will be loaded. You know, if it's a more two and single, it's a more age-targeted development. I'm willing to work with the town on that, you know, as long as the market study comes in well, because sometimes the market guys say, oh, you need to have a few more three-bedrooms. You know, like I said, I'm willing to, you know, walk that line to make it a collaborative effort. And I think, you know, I looked at all the different options here, 40B versus 40R versus 3A. The 3A is good, but the 40R with some commercial, some retail can be amenities to the residents. I could charge a little bit more rent. But, you know, I think the best option is 40R for this property.
I would agree, and I thank you for making the presentation. I know that you do have other options available, so I appreciate that you're willing to work with us on this. I like the fact very much that it has a commercial component. I would hate to see that all residential, whether that be a 40B or the MBTA. And, you know, with that being said, I appreciate you coming back based on how you were treated previously, so I apologize for that. And I appreciate your willingness to come back to us. Yeah.
Speak your mind, no need to apologize. You know, it's better to be out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you. Does the board have any questions?
I gotta say something funny. I see pickleball courts here. Does this mean that some of this is maybe considered senior housing?
Well, like I said, could be age targeted. I don't think on some of these programs that you can actually have it limited to for over 55. I think it has to be, in order to qualify for affordable housing, it needs to, or the affordable housing component, it needs to be available to all.
What is the impervious coverage on this?
Oh, I'm not sure what the calculation is.
We haven't calculated that. It's strictly conceptual at this point.
How many parking spaces are being proposed?
The ratio,
I think there's a total of 423 spaces counting the spaces under.
I see structures behind the retail space. What would those be?
That's the wastewater treatment facility.
And should this come before the board, I would highly recommend pulling everything out of the wetland protection areas, stormwater management areas, etc., and extensive screening. Just
Screening from-
at first glance, I think it's an awful lot, and I don't think that that area of town is prepared for this type of influx of traffic. I don't believe that the town of Carver could handle this type of influx into our schools in regards to that.
allow me to answer.
Another couple things is that if it is 40R, it does severely limit the abilities of towns to reject or significantly alter projects, and it bypasses traditional local zoning. So those are two aspects we have to consider as to how well this will fit in with the rural character and quality of our town, and will it overwhelm our local infrastructure, our roads, schools, public resources and services, so this
I
is something.
I understand those concerns. I think the thing that we have to consider is that Costa has been paying considerable taxes on this property, I believe, considerable, and I think it's come to a time now where he doesn't want to just sit on this any
Oh, I
longer. So he's
understand.
going to
I
do
think we-
something. So we need to weigh out when they do come forth, and my whole goal is that perhaps this 40R would check a box with the MBTA, because I think that we would be in compliant and we would get that off of our backs, so to speak, but that's a different issue. I'm more concerned about what his options are if he doesn't get this. Then
Right.
he'll be looking at strictly housing, 40B probably, and
Yeah, well-
that seems worse to me.
Well, that would be limited to 200 units anyways.
Right.
As it stands. But aside from that, I think we all pay excessive taxes in this town, and this is not going to decrease those taxes. It's going to cause a tax increase in this town.
No, but he's going to develop it, because I think on raw land right now, what he's paying is astronomical, but that's where we are.
Right, and I
Yeah.
agree that, I don't know how much he's paying, but currently it's undeveloped property and therefore at a much lower rate than residential, but with this much residential, it would be a tax negative. It won't cover the cost to services of the town. It'll be a very big burden on the town. But on top of that, 40R does not replace the MBTA zoning bylaws. It could be put in on top of the same property, but the MBTA zoning bylaws is an overlay district that has to be separate. And again, with the MBTA zoning bylaws, local controls is strictly and severely limited in regards to this, as far as I'm concerned. Any talk of MBTA housing should be in a residential area and not consuming commercial property, especially one that would negatively affect town services, taxes, and schools.
Understood.
Because my other issue is that despite how Mr. Costas was treated at our last meeting, I think we had narrowed as a team the MBTA housing to 3 different areas, and this one was particularly pulled off because of the effects on infrastructure, especially if the Green Business Park across the street gets developed, and they're looking at 8,000 to 9,000 cars a day on top of what would be here. And currently the intersection with Route 44 is abysmal, and people wait for 20 minutes just to get off the highway. So I think adding this type of development on top of it for this many residences, was the number 204, is that what you said?
The 204, this one's designed for 240 units
240.
with retail, with 20,000 square feet of retail.
Well, I mean,
Those are just my concerns.
I know, but he is going to do something, so whether it's going to be 200 or 240, yeah.
Right, but we
40.
shouldn't advocate for the loss of commercial space in this town because it
But we
helps
can't make
balance
him
out our
put commercial
taxes.
space in there. He's offering
Right,
to
we
put
can't do
commercial.
either,
Yeah.
either or. I mean,
Right.
it'll always be his
Yes.
choice to do
But I
what he
would think
wants to
that
on
right
the
about
land.
now in the town of Carver, that would be too risky for him to develop that all as commercial unless someone proposed something to him to that effect. But right now, he's looking at this or a 40B, in which I believe that he's well-versed in handling. But I do want to go back to your comment about the 40R, as far as the MBTA is concerned, and welcome Attorney Amy Questle here with us this evening. Amy, could you provide any insight on the 40R and the possibility that it could help us with the MBTA compliance, or?
Sure. So just as an example, Middleborough put their MBTA zone, their overlay over an 40R. That was already
Over an
zoned.
existing?
Yep, that was
Yeah.
already zoned. And
Okay.
what they did was they expanded the 40R, and so that the overlay covered it completely. One thing I did want to point out to Mr. Shea's concerns about local control is that with a 40R, The planning board is the project plan approval, the PPA, and the bylaw actually lays out design standards. It lays out in detail what a 40R can look like, what it can be. So there is quite a bit of local control baked into a 40R. The 40R process is we go hand in hand with EOHLC. They have a division, a 40R division that walks, basically, they have to approve our bylaw before town meeting can even act on it. So there's a lot of oversight with a 40R, but if you're looking for, you had mentioned that you only want MBTA zoning in a residential district. You don't have to have it only in a residential district.
Yes.
Many communities are looking at paper compliance, where they're putting it over established commercial businesses. So, MBTA zoning is not required to be in a residential area.
Oh, no, I understand, but the commercial areas in the town of Carver are so severely limited that I don't feel that the planning board should be advocating residential use in that particular area. It also raises concerns of how this was brought back to us, which was discussed at our last meeting. And
Okay.
Does anyone else have any questions? No? No questions?
Regarding traffic, if you allow me to weigh in, we have
Please.
Hudson retained, which are very big traffic engineers. And, we would do a study, of course, and see how our project would impact, and we'd mitigate, with a design, signalization, adding lanes, whatever they recommend to make sure the traffic is fine, because, we don't want to create a traffic jam there. I'm not sure what's going on with Route 44 LLC. It'd be nice to see some activity from them, but I wouldn't want to be held, back just in case they're going to develop something, because I think they're slower than I am as far as getting something off the ground. But also, as far as, I think you mentioned with control of the zoning, you guys design the overlay, you put in your requirements with a 40R. And as far as retail goes, it would be a much bigger incentive if I could put some housing there that would support a retail for me to build it. I'd build it pad ready, and as soon as I get tenants, I'd be building the retail. Especially, if I know I have 200 units of customers right on the same property.
No, understood. Well, I just want to take this time to thank you for coming forth with this, because I know that this wasn't exactly your first choice. So I appreciate you wanting to
welcome.
work with the town. I would like to stay away from a 40B project there. So I would hope that maybe we can work together, and I know that you had a good conversation with Judy and with Valerie, but unfortunately I have to let you know that Valerie is no longer going to be our interim town planner. So I think your communication will just be directly with Judy Barrett moving forward, and possibly I can assist in any way. Attorney Questle is very well versed in 40R projects as well, and has offered to give us a hand here with any communication with the state. So,
Well, thanks for having me. Thanks for the discussion.
thank you.
Thanks for your feedback.
Thank you very much. Next on the agenda this evening, we have an approval not required plan. The purpose of this plan is to divide Lot 1-A into two individual pieces. Assesses map 57, Lot 1A, and map 58, Lot 2. located at 94 Purchase Street, Carver, Mass. In the Residential Agricultural RA zoning district. Good evening.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Bob Rogers, for the record, GAF Engineering on behalf of the applicant. I would alter the posting of the description of the purpose of this plan. So this plan defines a conveyance parcel. That parcel 1-A2 is currently part of the residential house lot. And so this A&R plan, it does not create any new lots. It does not alter the frontage of either lot that's impacted. It simply takes a piece of land from the single-family lot 1A1, and gives it to Lot 2, the Cranberry Bog property. The residential house lot still maintains zoning compliance, and the bog property is 130 some odd acres. You know, if you look at an aerial map and, you know, like a mass mapper or something, you can kind of see that, you know, this just sticks into the operations of the Cranberry Bog, and it just makes perfect sense for them to agree to transfer the land and get a little financial benefit for the residential people, and it frees up some space, some maneuverability for the Cranberry Bog.
Understood. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? No questions? There being none?
I will make a motion to approve the A&R of 94 Purchase Street as stated. I see our endorsements on there, so that will do just fine.
Second? Mr. Lake?
Kevin Robinson says aye.
And Mr. Shea says aye.
One Sedillo says aye.
Mary Ellen Williams says aye. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
If it's all right with you, if you get a couple minutes, maybe we should do the minutes next.
Oh, sure. Whereas we do have a few minutes, we'll go over to the review of the minutes. Has everyone reviewed them? I just find that, as to the October 28th minutes, I just have a couple typos, but they looked fine to me. Has everyone reviewed?
Oh, they were just typos, like
Yes.
spellings. Yep.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of October 28th, 2025 with typos edited.
Yes, I will discuss that with Michelle.
That's like that.
Second that?
Aye. Kevin Robinson says aye.
Mr. Shea says aye.
Ellen Sedillo says aye.
Mary Ellen Williams says aye.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of November 4th, 2025 with any and all edits or typos as discussed.
Very good.
I'll second that.
Aye.
Do we have any?
No.
I don't. I just wanted to check with everybody first.
I just have one small typo, but that's it.
Kevin Robinson says aye.
Mr. Shea says aye.
Ellen Sedillo says aye.
Mary Ellen Williams says aye. We do have a few more minutes before the public hearings start. I wanted to bring to the board's attention that, and perhaps I could get Attorney Quessel's opinion on this, I would like to change the procedure wherein we limit the time allotted for public discussion. I don't know if anyone has any thoughts on that.
In what sense?
Limited to a certain amount of time.
I thought that was at the chairwoman's discretion, no?
It is, but I think it should be a rule, you know.
To incorporate a, like, 3-minute rule, or?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think 3 minutes is adequate unless someone thinks 5 minutes is sufficient. I mean, is better.
I think the 3 minutes.
3 minutes?
Yeah, they can always request more time.
Yeah, okay, very good. So we'll make that, if we could make a motion for that and vote on that, and then we'll incorporate that the time of our next meeting.
Motion to, I don't think we even need a motion, do we? I think this is a procedural issue and can just be moved on.
I think we may need to vote on it.
It's up to you, honestly.
Okay.
It's up to you. If you know, everyone's in agreement, you could make a motion and vote on it.
Mhm.
That public comment during public hearings would be limited to 3 minutes.
3 minutes,
Per
okay.
person.
Very good.
So moved.
Okay, very
And I'll
good.
second that.
Perfect.
Kevin Robinson says aye.
Mr. Shea says aye.
Ellen Sodillo says aye.
Mary Ellen Williams says aye. And the last item, as far as meetings would be concerned, I've been asked that perhaps we could make a rule and vote on it, that we would like to have all the documents in support of a hearing be submitted, you know,
Close the business Thursday night.
yes.
Yes.
Close the business Thursday evening.
So moved.
Very good.
Second.
Kevin Robinson says aye.
Mr. Shea says aye.
Ellen Sodillo says aye.
Mary Ellen Williams says aye.
And now, I have a question while we're in discussion for
Yes.
Attorney Questle. We had to cancel our last meeting, which had 2 public hearings on it. We didn't open or close them. How do we address that at this point in time? Do we set a date and time and close on them, or? Because I know we're required to have it, so we didn't, because we canceled the last meeting, I don't know, should we be discussing it tonight as no date and time was set in regards to notifying the public?
The entire meeting was canceled.
Yes.
Town hall was closed,
Town hall was closed.
weather related.
So, the two public hearings that were supposed to be opened at your last meeting?
They was continued to last meeting, I believe.
Okay.
Eagle Street. One of them asked for continuance till March 10th regardless. I don't know that it was opened. It had been opened previously.
So here is what our advice is on situations like this, which don't happen a lot, that the town hall is closed and the meeting actually is canceled. So there was no possibility for someone to come here and continue all of the hearings, which you can continue hearings without a quorum because it is a purely administrative act, but that didn't happen. So it would be up to each applicant if they want to go forward. Now, the applicants need to be aware of the fact that the meeting is they would be opening their continued public hearing that was never formally continued to a time and date certain. So if there is any question about abutters knowing when the continued hearing was, that would be on the applicant. They would have to defend that.
Okay. Also, I don't see on our agenda the other one, which they requested a continuance till March 10th, so I want to make sure that that's on our next meeting to open it and continue it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very good. Okay, next on the agenda this evening, we have a continuance of a public hearing concerning Wareham Street Solar 2 LLC requesting a special permit and site plan review pursuant to Section 290-3-1, 290-3-6, 290-5-3 and 290-4-3 of the Carver zoning bylaw located off Wareham Street in Carver, Mass. Assessors map 134, lots 4-2A, 4-2B, and 4-3 in the residential agricultural RA zoning district. The project consists of a large-scale ground-mounted solar photovoltaic system with coupled battery energy storage system, BESS. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm happy to move this wherever is easiest for the board to see. Good evening, Stacy Minahan with Beals and Thomas, and I'm here with the applicant, Eric Weinstein, and Dean Smith as well.
Hello.
All right, so when we last met in October, so it has been a little while, we had presented the large-scale solar project. The board had some comments and questions. We also met with the commission, and they had comments and questions. We received a comment letter from Fesson O'Neill and a comment letter from Carver Fire. So we've been coordinating to respond to those comments and questions. And then we also held our site visit, thank you all for attending, on January 23rd to view the site. And during that site visit, we updated as to what the plan revisions were. But I will run through them if it's the board's pleasure to just loop everyone in. Yes. And then happy to go through our supplemental materials in more detail or answer any questions that you might have. So in this vicinity, the proponent was contemplating 3 individual solar projects. Site 1, Site 2, Site 3. Site 3 is what was submitted to the board. We heard the board and the commission ask to pull the proposed work outside of the 100-foot buffer zone to wetlands and also outside of a 200-foot offset from the easterly reservoir to the project site. So when those updates were made to the layout, it obviously reduced the layout significantly. We also figured that the town would want those same changes made on Site 2, and when those were applied, it also significantly reduced Site 2 such that it didn't make sense as a separate project. So what we ultimately did is combine Site 2 and Site 3. So the present filing before the board is called 0 Wareham Street Solar Site 2, formerly known as Site 3, to try and keep everything clear. And essentially the westerly, I'll say, nub of what's outlined in green on that aerial is what was added to the original site layout. There was a southwesterly portion that was going to be Site 2 as well that's just been completely eliminated. So overall, there's a net reduction in tree clearing of about 5 acres. So for the present site, as we've submitted with the revised plans and materials, there are 28 acres of tree clearing and grubbing to accommodate the solar facility and the battery energy storage equipment area. And there's 1.5 acres of tree cutting where the stumps will remain. So that's the shade buffer outside of the fence where the trees need to be cut to allow the solar to shine on the panels, but they don't need to be grubbed. The total site area, including the access roads and the utility interconnection, is 31.3 acres. So as the board likely recalls from our site visit, we're accessing from 0 Wareham Street. This is also another update from our original filing, whereas before the access route and interconnection was going to go north across the gas easement and over to Wareham Street. We've now moved it south based in order to address Carver Fire comments on access and also to reduce the impacts by just using the same route. It's a little bit farther from wetlands, doesn't require any tree cutting. There will be some tree trimming potentially needed along the route, but no tree cutting for the access and the utility interconnection. So we submitted a supplemental package that include revised plans and stormwater. As I mentioned, those revised plans combine sites 2 and 3, and I'll describe that a little bit further in a moment. It also incorporates a berm around the battery energy storage system. The plans demarcate where road work is needed and that there's no tree clearing, just tree trimming for that, for those improvements to the agricultural access roads. We also submitted a forestry report regarding the kind of 16 acres of dead red pine and the overall habitat quality of the area, and we updated the decommissioning statement. There were also some other materials that were more germane to the commission that I haven't listed there, but we sent one package to both the planning board and the commission, so you all had the same information. So as I mentioned, we pulled the work out of the buffer zone in the 200-foot off the reservoir. That reduced just under 3 acres of clearing that was proposed in the buffer zone. There is some work in the buffer zone and within riverfront area for the access road and the utility interconnection. So those are existing agricultural access roads that cross the buffer zone to the cranberry bogs or buffer zones to some of the isolated wetlands and to a canal. So that work is very minor and all within disturbed areas. As I mentioned, combining sites 2 and 3 reduces the overall clearing of those 2 separate projects actually by nearly 6 acres. It eliminates a battery energy storage equipment area, so whereas Site 2 would have had its own, now it's just one for the combined Site 2, Site 3. It does reduce the AC megawattage by 1 megawatt, so whereas what we filed was a 5 megawatt AC project, it's now a 4 megawatt AC project. And again, we're combining the access and interconnection routes, and we did actually late today receive a letter from Carver Fire confirming that they're good with the access that's shown on the revised plans as well. I'll pause there if there are questions. Again, happy to go through anything in more detail. We did submit a letter that tried to capture the comments and questions that were made at the hearing and respond to them, and then also the written comments that we received.
Are you going with option route 2 or option 1?
2, based on the Carver correspondence. They were fine with either, but I believe we landed on 2.
Ms. Questle, one of the questions that was asked, and I understand, and I looked into it a little bit, but I would just soon hear from you. Mr. Glines asked that, confirm that both proposed project and existing solar array have adequate frontage. It's all in common ownership. Does it therefore fall under the one lot rule? In other words, because it's all continuous and under common ownership, does it fall under to be treated as a lot?
No, it would only merge if the lots were non-conforming. So if you have a conforming lot that's next to a non-conforming lot, they merge for zoning purposes. But
Okay.
if not, they would still be considered separate assessors lots.
Okay, because I don't believe that what we're looking at has the frontage requirement met. So how does that work?
So why wouldn't it have the frontage? Can they get the frontage if they combine the lots?
I believe so, yes.
So that means that one of the lots would be non-conforming. So they would merge pursuant to zoning.
Okay, and how does that work?
It's the doctrine of merger. And the building commissioner, when he determines if it's buildable or not, he makes sure that it is a common owner and that one of the lots or both of the lots are non-conforming, then they merge to create a conforming lot. The doctrine of merger is based off the fact that you want to create more conforming lots than non-conforming lots.
And how do we prevent that, say, it's split up in the future?
Then it would be, so if they split it up and they create a non-conforming lot, it's called infectious invalidity, which means that they would be subject to zoning enforcement.
How do we as a group deal with that, as a planning board?
You do not, because it is the building commissioner.
Excellent.
It's their, zoning is under their, enforcement of zoning is under their purview.
Anticipate that.
Mr. Glines, did you have any further questions? Because I see there's some responses here. The reservoir is part of the river system and it didn't show the 200-foot setback.
I can, here.
Oh, please. Good evening.
Andy Glines with Fuss & O'Neill, Town Peer Review Consultant. I guess, appreciate you bringing up the question regarding the setbacks and applicability of that, and town council weighing in on that. I think that addresses our comment on the setbacks. We did have, I guess, a new comment regarding the total clearing, which I know the applicant spent some time describing the changes they made to the clearing, but I didn't catch what the total remaining proposed clearing is. So if the applicant can clarify that.
Yes, so it is 29.5 acres of tree cutting. 28 acres of that will be grubbed as well.
Grubbed, as in
Stumped.
stumped.
And it's my understanding that with the forestry report, 16 acres of that was deemed to be dead or dying.
Correct.
Right.
There's 16 acres of dead red pine area within that tree cutting area.
But the project itself is still proposing over 5 acres of tree clearing, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess my understanding with section 293, 6.4, there's a limit to no more than 30% of the lot to be cleared with a maximum of 5 acres. And I guess I didn't see a formal waiver request for that item.
Madam Chair, Greg Sampson with Sullivan Worcester. I'm
Good
counsel. We understand that provision was actually struck by the AG when they
Okay.
reviewed that.
All right, yeah, that was the missing piece that and I guess if town council can confirm that, I just want to make sure that it wasn't a comment that Fuss and O'Neill made in our original memo that we issued to the applicant. At the time, we were making a comment about confirming what the total clearing was, and now that the total clearing has been confirmed, we just want to make sure that that is not a applicable item.
We also are under the zoning freeze, if that helps.
I believe the lot is also subject to a zoning freeze that would have required the prior zoning to be in effect. 2021.
Yeah.
Yeah, with coordination with town council, confirm both of those statements are accurate, but appreciate the applicant addressing that
Very good.
item. And
Was a subdivision plan filed?
Yes.
When?
29?
In 20, it was,
It was like
I can get it from the application. Yeah, it was, I know that it was voted and, the definitive was voted and approved in September of 2021.
Okay.
And I guess our rest of our memo really just includes our input regarding the waiver request from the applicant, and then recommended conditions of approval if the project is approved to be included in the decision letter. Certainly weigh in on anything else that comes up with the discussion between the board members and the applicant this evening, but at the moment, I think we would just issue our final memo to make sure that those conditions and waiver recommendations are passed through to a potential decision letter.
Very good. Thank you.
Now, our battery energy storage system laws are inclusive. I sat on the committee that wrote them, and they were meant to cover all battery energy storage systems with no exemption for accessory or part of a solar system. So all battery energy storage system bylaw requirements should apply to this. It specifically outlines which systems are required to do it, and this is a tier 3, is it not?
It would qualify as a tier 3.
And then all tier 3s do fall under the battery energy storage system bylaws as approved through the town.
So-
And there's no exemption.
We did submit a copy of a letter from the building
I
inspector.
understand that, and he's mistaken. There's no exemption for accessory usage in regards to anything. It clearly states that all tier 2 and 3 do fall under this particular, unless you don't are not one of the listed systems that are on there, then maybe you could try and work your way around it, but we list several systems, and it says all battery energy storage systems 2 and 3 do fall under this, and it was written with these particular projects in mind, because it was our understanding that there would only be one standalone battery energy storage system of any particular size in this town, and the laws were written to protect all the agriculture and water and everything else in regards to it. It should be inclusive in this, and they should apply. And I will ask Attorney Questle to check on that for us.
I will. I do not have the letter from the building commissioner that you're referring to, so I'll have to get that
Right.
from Michelle.
Yep, that's fine. I want everything in regards to the fire department in writing from the fire department prior to the issue of any buildings permits, because there's a lot of issues the fire department had, and our engineer brought into question emergency response plans, operations and maintenance plans, ground clearing fuel plans. I want to make sure that we have all that in writing in regards. I thought I saw something from the fire department here, but
We do have something.
okay, and it says that they found everything to be acceptable.
Yes, with no further action required until the issuance of a building permit and subsequent commencement of construction.
All right, has the decommissioning plan and decommissioning fund proof of liability insurance been provided?
Yes.
Yes, okay. The fire department was a big one, but if they're signing off on it, it's more safety than anything else for me. Do you have a plan for not recreating, but preserving an area of land equal to double the size of the battery energy storage system? Clearing area, that should be identified on the plans as well. If Ms. Questle concurs, I also need a plan for removal of batteries. How long? And they should be removed from the property, as well as non-functioning solar panels.
Any other comments on behalf of the board?
As we didn't get the proposed approval, I would recommend that we do that at the next meeting so that we can review and discuss it.
I would agree. Yeah. Is there no other comments I can open up to the public?
I don't, right?
Where there are no other comments and this is a public hearing, would anyone like to come forward from the public? Okay, yes.
Could I just confirm a few things that I am going to review this letter from the building commissioner. I'm going to check on the definitive subdivision plan when that was approved. The tree clearing, it appears that it was that section at the time. It's difficult because your section numbers change when you went to E code. So at the time, I think it was 3580.3.32, and that was struck by the Attorney General on November 13th of 2023.
Okay.
And then you would ask for one more thing, and I was reading the Attorney General's letter when you asked for it, and I forgot.
Oh,
Sorry.
that the battery energy storage system is applicable to all projects.
I have that one.
Yeah.
It was something that you were talking about, you were talking about decommissioning, and you asked, you said if attorney requested can check that. Something about,
If the battery storage is applicable, then we want decommission.
Oh, they have to recreate.
oh, decommissioning of the batteries, okay.
Well, decommissioning of the batteries and recreating, not recreating, I'm sorry, putting aside twice what the battery energy storage system uses.
Okay, and just, again, this is the first time I've seen this letter, but it says that, this says it does not apply to existing solar projects, which include the ESS as an accessory use. But this is brand new, or
I
is
think it was
existing?
existing prior to the implementation of the bylaw. And which I believe it specifically states in the bylaw that all current approved projects are approved.
Correct, approved.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll check on that. Thank you. Okay, got it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Attorney Russell. If there are any other questions, no one from the public wants to come forth. Motion to continue.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
if I may briefly, in the letter, because I had read that, Councilor Questle as well, it does go on later that the opinion, that the intent of the bylaw is to apply to new standalone BESS projects.
That's from the building commissioner, but that's
Correct.
not in the bylaw. The bylaw clearly states where it's
Yep.
applicable.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that language since it added on to the portion that was read previously.
Thank you.
So, we're looking for a continuation date till, what is our next meeting? The 24th of January?
February 24th.
Well, that's what this says, but we should be meeting in 2 weeks from now, right? Oh, it is,
Yeah.
oh, my wife's gonna be pissed if I forget Valentine's Day on Saturday, you're right. So February 24th, I'll make a motion to continue the public hearing on Wareham Solar 2 LLC to February 24th, 2026, meeting room 4, Carver Town Hall, 7 PM.
Kevin Robinson says aye.
Mr. Shea says aye.
Thomas Drillo says aye.
Mary Ellen Williams says aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eric.
This is for you. Oh, thank you, Secretary.
Oh, no, I think it got lost in all this stuff here. I think it was given tonight too, and
It
I
was.
didn't really have a chance
Yeah.
to check it out.
Okay, next on the agenda this evening, we have a public hearing that has been continued for Weather Vane at Silver Street LLC, requesting a special permit and site plan review, 7 and 9 Silver Street in Carver, Mass. Assesses map 67, lots 4-3 and 4-F, in the residential agricultural zoning district, to construct 4 new triplex residential townhouses consisting of 12 total units.
I'll start.
We get another staff report this evening in regards to this one.
Oh, maybe she edited it?
I don't, it just says, staff report for today. Staff is recommending that the unfinished discussion needs to be resolved prior to rendering a decision. And I didn't know if you had more information on that, because I haven't had an opportunity to read the staff report because it was just presented to us.
Did we want to explain to the applicant about the canceled meeting, to see if they want to go forward or not?
Yes, please.
Yes. Hello there, good evening. You were on the agenda for the last meeting that was postponed because the town hall was closed,
Was that the January 27th meeting, I think, or?
I believe so.
So
Okay.
there was
Yeah.
no formal vote to continue to tonight.
Okay,
So going forward would be at your at your option.
I thought we had requested.
It was
Maybe it's
January
prior to that.
27th.
Yeah, did we have a request, a specific request to this evening? I thought we
think we did,
I thought
yeah.
Did you?
we may have, yes, so I believe that we actually preemptively asked for this evening, I believe.
We did, because we didn't get the materials in for the 27th hearing,
Oh,
so we
okay.
asked for the continuance to this hearing.
Okay.
But there was, the issues, there's no public notice.
So when you asked for this meeting, was it at the last meeting you were present at?
No, it
Yeah,
was
so-
prior to the meeting.
So it's still, it's up to you if you're going to go forward, you know,
You tell me.
Interesting.
could be subject to a challenge of whether or not having proper notification.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Boy, as much as I would love to get some stuff accomplished tonight, because you guys all went out on site visits, I think what we'll do is we'll push it this evening so that all of the abutters get an opportunity to participate.
Okay.
Before I do that, I just have a question. I just want to confirm, why are we meeting in meeting room 4 next meeting?
Because the selectmen are meeting here, I believe.
Because if we get this approved, even if
I
it's...
thought
I thought we established that our meetings were not to be changed.
Abutters
Thought we
can
did too.
say,
Yeah, we have specific legal obligations.
That's at our
It's
discretion.
not our fault, but if the abutters
They've
weren't
gone ahead.
notified,
Okay.
then there'll be
Publish
a
their meeting
defect in
on
our
the
ability
same
to go
Because
forward.
we have to, when we continue something, we continue it to a date, time, and place certain.
Correct.
And when we get moved around, it changes
Want to
that,
find out
and then
from
we're
Andy
out
if
of
he has a
compliance.
staff member?
I would agree.
Yeah. Andy, would you have a staff
But
memo?
at this point in
to
time, we
take
just
away?
continue the other one
Do you
to
have
meeting
a
room.
staff
I will make a
memo, a
motion
review
to-
memo we could have?
Continue
Can issue one.
the public hearing
Thank you.
on Weather Vane at Silver Street LLC, requesting special permit and site plan, 7 to 9 Silver Street, Carver, until February 24th, 2026, meeting room 4,
24.
Carver Town Hall, 7 PM. Oh, 6:30 PM?
7 PM, because we did the other one for 7.
But
If you
if we're
want.
starting a meeting at 6:30, then we won't have to,
Okay,
so
very
I
good.
will continue it till 6:30.
6:30 sounds good.
I'll second that.
We appreciate the heads up very
Just
much.
vote on it. Mr.
We'll
Lee?
see you in a few weeks. Thank you very much. And we'll also get, we'll get the F&O review memorandum as well, and we've already arranged for that.
Very good.
Thank you very much.
You're an aye?
Aye.
Thanks.
Kevin?
Kevin Robinson says aye.
Mr. Chase is aye.
Ellen Sedillo says aye.
Mary Ellen Williams says aye. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thanks, guys. We have everything.
Madam Chair, it's okay with you, I'll talk to Michelle in the morning about maybe putting it up on the website.
Okay.
Just have all been moved to, that they've been continued to.
That would be wonderful. Thank you.
Good night.
Next on the agenda this evening, we have a public hearing that has been continued for Tremont Street Solar 1 LLC, requesting a special permit and site plan review, 73 Tremont Street in Carver, Mass. Assesses map 121, lot 4-0, in the residential agricultural RA zoning district, to construct solar floating dual-use canal canopy and ground-mounted solar arrays with associated ESS. Good evening.
Hello, everybody. For the record, Sarah Stearns with Beals and Thomas, and for the applicant, Matt Swansberg. We have several people here representing the applicant and landowner for this evening. As the chair read into the record, this is a continued hearing for 73 Tremont Street Solar. There's been a lot since we last spoke. A lot happened on this project. We had a site visit on January 9th, a very icy day out there. And I think everyone got out there, I believe, and Kevin had a
went late.
private tour at a different, but on the same day. So I think everyone has been able to see the site, which is great. Since then, and taking the comments that were provided by the board, as well as comments from the Conservation Commission. We've submitted a supplemental package, including revised plans and an associated letter and attachments responding to the comments that we received. I'm happy to say that we've received a letter from Carver Fire Department and Besson O'Neill noting that our responses and revisions have been satisfactory based on their reviews. So tonight, I think we're here to just kind of give a brief update on some of the modifications that have been made and continue to discuss the project. I know this is a little hard to see in the black and white, but I have an aerial behind it that we can switch to. But just to refresh everybody's memory, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
The mic? Okay. To refresh everyone's memory, this is right off of Tremont Street in South Carver and is made up of multiple components, different types of solar. On the Edgewood Boggs property, it includes canopy panels as well as a dual-use component in two of the bogs, ground-mounted solar adjacent to the Eversource right-of-way, as well as a dual-use component on a bog that's in the northern part of the site. And lastly, a floating solar array on the ag reservoir. I'm just going to switch the page just so we can see it a little bit better. One of the primary things that was updated, I guess I'll just stay on this for a second, that we were able to see standing along the right-of-way on Tremont Street is that the interconnection, which is really the only piece of the project that's close to a public way, has been modified from the original pole layout to a pad-mounted layout pushed back from the street. So that was able to be worked into the topography a little bit better. We also did look at this area very specifically with the Conservation Commission, because as you know, this whole site is surrounded by wetlands essentially. So anyway, this was a positive outcome from input from both this board as well as the commission and Besson O'Neill. So this is a redo of the interconnection point, which I think makes a lot more sense for this particular area. Beyond that, the access that is proposed at that same area would be used for the utility and emergency access only, with the main entrance remaining where we all parked at 73 Tremont, where there's a paved access, and the whole site is accessible from there. So that's really the main update. We've made a couple of additional minor modifications. We relocated the proposed battery storage area just slightly. It's in its same general footprint, but sort of tucked back adjacent to the right-of-way, but a bit further away from that wetland buffer zone, so it's, you know, encompassed more into the solar array itself. Really, other than that, just some minor updates just related to Besson O'Neill's stormwater and grading and drainage review. But essentially, the project is very similar to the way it was laid out, almost identical. I also just wanted to touch on our screening discussion, standing on the side of Tremont Street. This is a new plan that was included in our set, kind of a zoomed-in view where Tremont Street and the main entrance to the property exists, and this is where we were standing along the street. I know we had a spirited discussion about what should be done here and what type of discretion the board has in certain situations where we have such a far distance between the public way and the actual array itself. The area is wide open, certainly, but the distance between the street and where the first array is down here is about 2,500 feet, so half a mile. So what we thought we'd do is include a planting plan that does show some proposed screening in the area, that a portion of one of the arrays could be visible from Tremont as an option. And, you know, our, I guess, proposal to the board, and this is something we spoke with the interim planner about, just to have something as a discussion, is that the applicant and the landowner are fine with doing this if once constructed, it appears that it is necessary. So we wanted to include that with the plan set, visual mitigation option with, a proposed condition that gives the planning board something in writing so that once the panels are built, to come out and look at it and decide whether or not screening should be required at this area along Tremont Street. So just something to consider. We have done that in other communities where the project has been constructed and then the board and, other town staff members come out and take a look at it and have that, sort of follow-up discussion. So we thought we'd propose that. It has worked out well where we have unique situations like this, where it's very hard to tell whether or not screening would actually accomplish something at this distance. So that is part of the, that was part of the supplemental package as well. I did also, I guess that was it. I think similarly to the last discussion, we also spoke with the interim planner about the applicability of the battery storage bylaw. I did go back and watch the recording of the discussion with the planning board in 2023, I believe, when this was coming up on the town warrant, where the battery storage bylaw was being proposed. And it was clearly discussed in that meeting that the intent of that bylaw was applicable to standalone battery storage facilities. At that time, we were working on a solar project that had coupled battery storage with it, which is the where that letter came from. I was working with a different applicant at the time on a completely different project, but it was confusing to that applicant whether or not that section of the bylaw would be applicable to a coupled storage project. And that's was requested an opinion from the building commissioner, and that's where that letter came from, acknowledging that yes, he also agreed that the BESS bylaw was planned for standalone storage facilities, not necessarily coupled with solar PV or solar projects.
I clearly disagree with that.
You should watch the video because
I was there.
Ms.
I'm
Questel
sure if
was
you
also
watched it,
there.
I wrote the law, and maybe it was said
Yeah.
in the meeting, but clearly
I can send you the
law is
link
written
because
and accepted.
and whatever, we can continue to discuss it, but I went back and looked at it because I was also at the meeting, and I thought I remembered speaking with the former town planner about this very topic and whether or not the intent of it was to apply it to coupled projects or standalone, and the answer was standalone. That I actually, not to put you on the spot, but you asked the same question in that same meeting. It was over at the police station, and Mr. Bott's response to you was that it was applicable to standalone storage. So I'll send you the link, or I'll send it through Michelle.
Do you know the date?
It was,
It's okay.
not off the top of my head,
I
but
can get it.
I actually sent it to the town planner, so Michelle may actually have it, but I'll make sure you get it. That was what our understanding of it was until very recently. And I read the comment in Andy's letter and Fuss and O'Neill's letter, and it sort of, we brought it up again to, try to remember whether or not it was applicable or if that was the intent of the bylaw change. So we can get to the bottom of it. I think having this opinion from Mr. Palmer, the building commissioner, who is still the building commissioner today, I'm sure we can revisit with him and get, his thoughts on it as well. So it's clear to everybody on these projects and going forward. As I mentioned, we did get a letter of satisfaction from Carver Fire Department yesterday or today, as well as a final letter from Fuss and O'Neill noting that his comments had been addressed satisfactorily, and I noticed some proposed conditions for the board's consideration as well. So I'll stop there and we can take questions and continue to discuss as the board would like.
Does anyone on the board have any questions?
Yeah, do we have a letter from the fire department?
We do.
No, yeah.
It's similar to,
No, that's all right.
Let me say that for the one I
Yeah.
gave you earlier.
That's it. Okay. Do you need this, Connie?
No, thank you. We had a lot of information tonight. There was no time to read it prior to the meeting.
no,
Which part are you talking about?
Look, we got a stack of letters here.
we received some items just shortly prior to the meeting to review.
Now, in general, I'm fine with everything as long as Mr. Glines is fine. There are a few things that should have been included in the decision letter in regards to making sure we have a letter from the fire department approving the O&M, signage, emergency response plan, array access. But also, there was the question of access to the bogs when they're flooded, which seems reasonable to me.
Andy Glines with Fussin O'Neill, peer review consultant. Unfortunately, we didn't issue our memo until today, so apologize to the applicant and the board for not getting a chance to review that previously, but one of the reasons why I'm here to be able to address any of those comments. Again, for this particular project, our current memo, we have 5 pages. It's mostly where essentially it is our recommendations regarding waiver requests from the applicant and recommended conditions of approval that we recommend to be included in the potential decision letter. Specifically regarding access to the bogs during flooding, that was one of our recommended conditions, where I understand previous meetings brought up as a potential safety hazard, and I know applicants in the past have been open to that condition, but want this particular applicant to weigh in on whether or not, they have any comments on the language of that condition and then how they would actually restrict access to the bog.
Madam Chair, thank you. This is something that the landowner and the applicant have been discussing throughout this process. This is a relatively new discussion point. We have met several times, both at Town Hall and on-site, with the building and wiring inspectors in the town, and have discussed several measures in terms of safety, particularly related to the dual use access, both for community members taking a walk out in this area and for the landowners and the growers themselves. I would say that because it is still being discussed about the particulars of it, I would prefer to request that the board include language that the applicant and the landowner continue to discuss the specifics of it with wiring inspector specifically and the building commissioner to assess how that is allowed and addressed. I think we're not quite there yet to be able to say it's just disallowed. I think there's a lot of nuance to that, and there's a lot of particulars that are still, being designed and being discussed.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable, where essentially the applicant has a lot of additional design on the electrical side still to be done. There's electrical code requirements that need to be met, and then will be reviewed during the building permit process. And especially with a project like this where there's multiple array types, there's going to be a different condition for each array type where, and then, some of them may just, need to be temporarily shut off with a breaker. Others may be able to be left alone. I think all that could be outlined in the formal operation and maintenance report for the array, that, maybe the condition could be revised to read that that should be established as part of the building permit review process and outlined in that report.
And if I could just read a draft condition into the record for the board's consideration. And I'll start by saying the safety of everyone is the number one priority here. So that is top of the list. But the draft condition that we had proposed is that the owner-operator will collaborate with Carver's building commissioner and wiring inspectors to adhere to a workable plan to safely monitor accessibility to the bogs during flooded conditions as they deem appropriate. Something along those lines.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I think that sounds reasonable.
Yeah, I would agree.
No, as long as the building inspector says it's safe to do so, then I don't have a problem with it.
Absolutely, yeah.
I do still strongly urge this board to require some level of screening, even if it's just 20 feet along Tremont Street in regards to this. We've seen enough of it on that street. I mean, anybody that's was there on the sidewalk saw what was going on across the street from there, and of course most of the people in this town pass by the Berry guys in South Carver, and I highly recommend that screening be put in, even if it's only 20 feet of evergreens along Tremont Street, and that won't affect any of the working conditions, and it won't affect the road that's the bog road that's available. And I think it's being very, very generous.
No, I can appreciate that, and I do agree with you with the other projects in town especially, but I think that I would go along with the applicant's suggestion about why don't we wait and see, because we don't even know what we're going to be able to see from the street.
We
It's
didn't know it was
2,500 feet away.
We didn't know what we'd see in other ones either, but as it turns out, our screening requirements for many of these were
Well, no, we had
very
screening
lax.
requirements specifically for the Berry guys that just
Well,
has fallen through the cracks.
That is right.
Absolutely.
They did not get a waiver for screening in regards to that project.
Correct.
But nonetheless,
Right.
it's there, and we have to deal with
But
it.
I think it's fair enough to let the applicant, we make that determination. If they're subject to screening, once we make that determination.
They are subject to screening.
No, what I mean is giving them the opportunity to put the screening in once it's constructed.
I
I mean, Sarah, what are you suggesting when you say waiting? Are you talking about natural screening?
So the proposed condition for the board's discussion, and just a discussion really, because we just were sort of uncertain where we stood with the screening after our
Right.
discussion on site. So we had proposed something along the lines of the planning board reserves the right to request screening along Tremont Street as shown on the attached visual screening option plan following the completion of the canal canopy solar array such that the visual impacts will be mitigated at the property line. So it gives the board the opportunity to come out and say, we hate how this looks, we want you to implement this screening plan, and that's what happens. This is part of the proposed documents, it's in the record, it's on file, so that if we go out there after the thing is built and say, we want you to plant this, then they're bound to do that. We were just proposing it because we're just not sure if it's going to be necessary, if it will be effective.
How about that we require it, and then when it is built, we can do a minor modification and remove it if we feel that that's necessary. I think that would be more appropriate. It's a couple trees along Tremont Street. It's not a burden for anybody to install them because we went on the walk and there's that berm of land there that's perfect for it. But the town clearly wants to maintain its rural character, and that they don't like seeing this. And I've had to field enough issues with these projects over my years on the board that I don't think that we should waive screening on any project. I think we should do
Well, I
it.
can appreciate that, but so we have a guarantee that we can implement the screening once it's constructed. But they don't have a guarantee from us that we're willing to remove it
We
or
can put
minor
it in our
modification.
conditions that we can even say it that should we feel that it's unnecessary, they can come back for a minor modification. But to waive it right off the bat is to...
Well, it's not waiving it.
This
it's reserving
wouldn't be
the
a
right.
waiver.
Just deferring it to later, yeah.
It's just
No,
reserving
we're-
the right to.
It's for all intents and purposes, we're waiving it.
I don't think
If
we're
we're not
waiving it.
requiring it, then we're
If we go back
waiving the
later and it looks like
requirement.
a horrible looking site, then, you know.
Right.
We're addressing it. Or if it doesn't look, if
Well,
you can't see it at all, then.
I think it would be easier to require it now and remove it later than it would be to come back and deal with it later. I think that's an acceptable solution for everybody.
Well, yes.
You want-
I was just going to say, could you make it so that the board has to make a determination about the screening prior to something? Like the electrical hookup or something. So the panels go in, and then what's the next step? It gets hooked up to something?
So the sort of sequence of construction is put your foundations in, attach your solar panels, wire all of the solar up, and then the last step is for the utility to make their interconnection.
So before interconnection. So that way if screening is necessary, it has to be put in before the interconnection. Yeah.
Right, right.
So that would be, the terminology that we use is commercial operation date or permission to operate is what we received from the utility company. So if there was a milestone that the board wished to tie this to, it could be, prior to permission to operate or something along those lines.
And again, the only reason we're even talking about something out of the box here is because of the
2,500
extreme
feet,
distance from the public way. In other projects that you mentioned, they're much,
right.
much closer
Right.
to the public way. And that's really the only reason. We just want it to be effective.
Right.
It's a tough area to plant. It's right next to the street. It's wide open, subject to very windy conditions. But, if we have to do it, the applicant and landowner are certainly happy to do it. That's why we put the plan together and put it in as part of the record plan set. It's just, we want it to be meaningful and
Right.
do its job. If we find that everything that's out there, way out on the bogs, looks this big from the street when you're driving by at 45 miles an hour, it may not be necessary.
Right.
If there were homes across the street or businesses or something where someone's looking straight out at that all day, every day, that would be a different conversation.
Absolutely.
But it's not a residential area. It's a stretch of road that you can see that area for a split second. I drive it every day. We're just not sure it will even be visible. We saw the stakes out there from a distance
Right.
that were very hard to see. I mean, that's not exactly the same as the full panel layout, but it gives you a sense of the scale of it. So that's really the only reason we're trying to think a little bit more creatively for this site in particular. It's not something that I think is appropriate at every site. And, I am very familiar with the screening requirements in this bylaw. I just think that we have a little bit of a unique situation here. And again, we're not trying to skirt it or circumvent it in any way. We've proposed 22 trees here. So, it's certainly up to the board, but we're just trying to propose some
Are you
agreeable.
proposing 22 trees there?
Yes, that's what this plan is.
I can't,
Yeah, well, it was in the packet.
which is,
This is the
We'll
this is the
cover the
entrance. This is the stretch along Tremont Street, so all this would be planted.
in a double row?
Well, they're staggered, so, it's,
So I'm okay with that. See?
and this is in the plan set that was submitted in January after our site visit. So that's what I'm saying, like, it's part of the record plan. If the board deems it to be necessary, once it's built, that gets implemented. I think it just makes sense to
Well,
look at
is
it.
Wait, quick question. Is this being proposed as part of the site plan, or is this being proposed as an alternative?
I'm not sure what your question
If we
is.
approve this, is it going to contain those 23 trees?
The way that the condition is written is that the board reserves the right to implement this plan if it deems necessary prior to, like
So
Ms.
the
Questle
the answer
said.
is no. It is not currently, if we approve this as it's presented to us, that is not part of it.
Well, that's up to you. It's in your plan
Okay.
set. It's an
So
option.
it's already there, it's an option. I think it's one that we're required to do screening. We're allowed to do alternative screening when it's over 600 feet, which this clearly is. And I really think that screening is important on all of these projects. It helps maintain the rural character of the town.
I would agree that screening is important, but it is 2,500 feet away, and I think that we should allow them the opportunity for us to go out and make that determination, like what Attorney Questle said.
I would agree to Attorney Questel's
Yes.
recommendation.
Yeah.
That prior to the, I don't know, permit approval?
If I may.
Yes, please.
I agree with town council, well, Andy Glines with Fuss and O'Neill again. Agree with town council with tying the condition to interconnection. I think that's a good time period, in the construction process. However, being previously involved in other projects with final sign-off on projects in town, which is usually a joint effort between Fuss and O'Neill, the town planner, and operation and maintenance department. I can't think of an instance where the planning board itself has actually gone out to inspect, a project at that stage. Is usually done through those department heads and town peer review consultant. I would recommend for that instance include the planting as a requirement now, and then give the applicant the option to omit that planting at that time, where it'll be a lot clearer for the folks that are reviewing the project at that time. Could be different peer review consultant, could be different, town planner, obviously that's in flux. And it's, putting that kind of authority in those future individuals to make that determination, depending on the time of year and what existing vegetation is out there. It leaves room for a lot of interpretation. So I think including it as a requirement now will make it easier for final sign-off by the applicant.
But I thought you
on the
said you agree with Attorney Questle, no?
and the timing of when that decision's made.
Okay.
But I would prefer to see the planting as a requirement that can be omitted later, as opposed to something that's not included now that could be added later. I don't know, it just leaves less room for interpretation later, and a point where the applicant, depending on the time of year and what type of schedule implications they're trying to hit, they may not want to wait for the town to certify whether or not it's required, and the contractor may just want to install the plant material and be able to close out their project. So I think it gives a clearer path for the applicant. But that's just my opinion on this specific condition.
Thank you.
Based on the points Mr. Glines has raised, I think that is a very reasonable way to look at it. Accomplish what you want, Mr. Shea.
I could barely hear you, Alan.
I'm sorry. I don't even have that problem. I said, based on the points, the points of more procedural that the Glines has raised, it seems like a pretty good solution. Accomplish what you want.
Yeah, I'm
Basically what you
in
said.
firm agreement with
Yeah,
Mr. Glines,
so-
yeah. So I'm quite happy to move ahead with that. Again,
The
we
applicant wants to weigh in again.
I'll leave it up to him.
Oh, thanks.
I'm out.
No, we're fine with that. And just to be clear, and I know Sarah already mentioned it, this has nothing to do with us not wanting to do it. It has nothing to do with cost or constructability. This is, I think, Mr. Shea, to your point, not really a difficult thing to screen, but from our standpoint, we weren't sure if the community or the board actually wants to see trees along that stretch of road rather than the cranberry bogs that are there.
I
So-
prefer not to see the trees
So
myself.
that's you know, the board's
Yeah.
sort of decision. That's why we brought it up for discussion, because we don't want to do something that you guys are like, well, that's going to look terrible. And so that's, yeah, we're open to whatever the board chooses as the,
My opinion is that these will be so far away that no one is going to, unless they pull over on the side of the road, they're not going to see them. To Sarah's point, you know, people drive 45 plus miles per hour on that
Usually
road.
plus.
Yeah, so that, they're out there. And I mentioned before, I enjoy driving by this property and looking at these bogs because they're meticulous. But again, it's up to the board as to what their thoughts are. If everyone, you know, agrees with Mr. Glines, then so be it. But I would prefer to leave this option open before they can start operation and make that determination. And to that point, Mr. Glines, I myself would like to go out to and invite the board to these other projects which have kind of fallen through the cracks that we've put these requirements on, because I don't know how they can get away with it. But they are solar projects, and they should be screened because they're right on the street. So I don't know how that happens, but I can appreciate where you're coming from and making that suggestion.
Do you anticipate closing this tonight, or do you anticipate continuing?
I believe we're continuing.
Yeah,
No.
should have some sort of draft decision to discuss in regards to.
Because I could present, what Mr. Shea was just saying, I could present two conditions to you at your next hearing. One would be that the trees are not required, and then the board has to go out prior to interconnection, or the trees are required, and the board has to go out prior to interconnection to determine if they are to be waived or not. So I can write a condition either way, and then you would at least have something in front of you.
Okay.
Because we also have to, make it either it's, a majority of the board. We have to make certain that it's the majority of the board that's going to vote to decide. It has to be, we have to make sure that it states that it can be done in a public meeting, that you don't have to open up another public hearing. All that has to be written into the condition, so that when this does happen, we're not all sitting here going, oh no, what do we do? Do we have to publicize a new public hearing, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So we want to build all those things in.
Okay, very good.
Could I ask a clarifying question through you, Madam Chair?
Yes.
To Attorney Questle. If the board was ready to close the public hearing on the discussion, could that condition language just be deliberated by the board at the next meeting?
That would be up to the board, correct. It would be just as they were deliberating a draft
Okay.
decision.
Thank you.
There would be no new information.
Right.
Based on what I would be drafting for you, there would be no new information.
Very good.
So are you looking for a motion to close the public hearing?
I haven't offered the public to speak if they wanted to, so if we don't have any other questions, I'll offer anyone from the public.
Can you give me that condition right now that you read?
It's in the draft staff report from the interim planner.
Okay.
So that's.
Thank you. Okay,
Yep.
that's fine.
And whereas this is a public hearing, if anyone would like to come forward in the public and speak on this matter? Hearing none. Any other questions from the board? No?
That sounds good.
Are we going to look to continue this?
I will make a motion to continue it.
If that's
I
what the
think
board
we're only
chooses.
just going to be discussing the voting and discussion, the agreement at the next meeting, so I don't think it's going to be a particularly long one, so would February 24th.
If that's the case,
fine.
Madam Chair, if the only discussion would be wording of the potential conditions, I think the applicant would like to request that the board consider closing the public hearing this evening.
Okay. I would agree if someone would like to make said motion.
I was.
Hmm?
I was.
Okay.
Second.
Second. Mr. Lake?
Aye.
Kevin Robinson says aye.
Mr. Shea says aye.
Ellen Sedillo says aye.
Mary Ellen Williams says aye. We are closed.
You closed it.
Yes. If there are no other questions, is a motion to continue?
I'll make a motion. So we've continued everything from tonight. We had a couple more things. Is February 4th going to be acceptable? I mean, February 24th?
February 24th, right?
Is that going to be acceptable to the board?
For what? You closed the public hearing.
Yes, but we're going to continue. We got a lot going. I mean, we've loaded up the 24th, but I don't think this is going to be particularly time consuming, so
I would agree.
So February 24th is acceptable to the board.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to continue the public hearing on Tremont Street Solar LLC requesting a...
We closed it.
You just closed the public hearing.
We did.
Yep. So now you're trying to continue it?
I thought we were going to continue, not the public hearing, the discussion.
Sure.
Yes.
So that would just be on the agenda.
Yes.
Okay, all
Yep,
right.
we'll put on the agenda deliberation and deliberation, possible vote and decision, something like
Yeah.
that.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
And do I have a vote for that?
I'll make said motion.
And I will second it.
Mr. Lake?
Aye.
Kevin Robinson says aye.
What are we voting on?
To have further discussion.
Oh, yeah, I thought she just said we didn't need to vote on it, but I will say
I'm sorry.
aye.
Yeah.
You don't have to. It's fine.
Ellen Sedillo.
Mary Ellen Williams says aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it, guys. Have a good night.
And whereas we took things out of order this evening, I don't have any other notes, if anyone else does. Can you talk?
I'm sorry, what?
I said we took things somewhat out of order, so
Oh.
I addressed items that I wanted to address, and we went over the minutes. So I don't know if anyone has any other concerns? Very good.
I do have concerns. I want to know what's going on with our town planner. I want to know, I really wanted,
We
she
unfortunately
was-
no longer have Valerie.
I'm just going to say, I thought Valerie was excellent.
She was.
I was very impressed with her. I thought she did a great job, and I have concerns over what's going on, and I would think that I would welcome her back, or welcome her to work for this town at any time that she feels it's appropriate. I have a lot of respect for her, and I thought she did a great job.
I would agree with you, absolutely.
I'll second that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. We will definitely miss her. So, with that being said, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Lee?
Aye.
Kevin Robinson says aye.
Mr. Shea says aye.
Ellen Sedillo says aye.
Mary Ellen Williams says aye. Thank you and have a good evening.